I wouldn't call Germany and Great Britain best friends during World War II. You see, Hitler had this problem where he wanted to take over everything and, claim it in Germany's name. So when he finally got France and France surrendered, Britain was next on the chopping block. But sadly, Britain's a bit stubborn, so they didn't really budge all that much. So Hitler came up with a plan.
Diesen Menschen sein so gemein Aslut. Hermann Schätzlein, konntest du das für mich diesen Engländer angreifen?
As any rational person would do, you'd send your whole air force against your enemy. On the 10th of July in 1940, Hitler sent out the Luftwaffe to attack the British. His goal was to bomb them into submission until they agreed to a negotiated peace settlement. And his strategy went a little something like this. Gain air superiority, use that superiority to target coastal facilities in British ports, then finally bomb RAF bases along the way to just cripple the British Air Force a little. During the invasion,
Messerschmitt,
Bf-109E and Wolf FW-190 fighter pilots were used to fight against the RAF, while
Angel HE-111, Dornier DO-17,
and
Junkers Ju-88
bombers were used to bomb facilities and towns from high altitudes. Nazi commanders Hermann Göring, Albert Kesselring, Hugo Sperling, and Hans-Jürgen Stumpf led the Air Force during the battle. The Italian Air Force supplied fighter pilots, bombers, and Commander Reno Foyer to help the Nazis during this battle. The British retaliated to this invasion by targeting a small-scale attack on the capital of Germany, aka Berlin. They used Hurricane Mk1 and Spitfire Mk1 fighter pilots alongside the Armstrong Whitworth Whiteley, the Handley Page Hampton, and the Vickers Wellington bomber planes. This angered Hitler, of course, who decided to change plans and focus all his attacks on London. Makes sense. Visits to air raid shelters were common during these raids. Citizens in and around London would stay in underground railway tunnels until the Germans were completely out of ammo. While the Luftwaffe was busy gang-banging London, RAF bases across Britain were able to reorganize and rebuild the lost planes from all those German bombings from before. And after the RAF was completely back up and running, they were able to combat the next full-scale air attack the Nazis sent out. But wait, how did the British know when and where the Nazis were going to attack next? Well, 1, Hitler was targeting London for a whole month by that point, so it was pretty obvious he'd attack London again. And 2, they used radar. Radar was super important for the Allies during World War II. Without it, we probably would have lost the war altogether. Radar uses electromagnetic waves to detect objects that are out of human sight. Can't see German U-boats under the water? Radar. Want to know exactly where Nazi airships are going? Radar. Self-conscious that your wife is cheating on you? Radar. The final scuffle in London put the nail in the coffin for Hitler. British commanders such as Hugh Dowding, Keith Park, Trafford Leigh-Mallory, Quentin Tarantino, and Saul Goodman fought bravely amongst their comrades. In the end, the British came out on top with a little military help from Canada and supplies from the US. The Nazis entered the battle with 2,550 aircraft and left with 573, while the British started with 1,963 aircraft and ended with 219. 1,542 British soldiers died, and 2,585 Nazis died during the battle. The Battle of Britain also shifted US opinions on the war, convincing more Americans that maybe another world war doesn't sound like such a bad idea. Great Britain showed its power and determination during the battle. They absolutely destroyed Hitler's ego and gave the Allies a bit more hope. Now time for some fun-filled facts. First, Germany was the first country to fly a plane with a jet engine inside it. Before World War II, planes were using propellers, but after being developed in the late 1930s, they started being used by the Luftwaffe in air battles, including the Battle of Britain. Second, radars were originally being developed as weapons. The lab that invented radar, MIT Radiation Laboratories, originally wanted to use electromagnetic radiation as a weapon, not a form of detection. Third, the Me-109 was the most advanced aircraft at the time, but the US was able to create the Spitfire. It had speed, could outrun the Me-109, and had a Rolls-Royce engine in it. The British used Spitfires during the Battle of Britain, which ultimately helped them win. And finally, the English Channel is 21 miles wide. I know that had nothing to do with the Battle of Britain, I just thought it was a bit interesting.